Welcome everyone to the Parks, Library, and Arts Committee meeting. It is 5:11, so we're running a little bit late. Present, we have Council members Gamble, Hancock, Hauser, Syracuse, and Van Reese. We'll have others join us during the meeting, and we'll ask them to identify themselves when they arrive. To start things up, we're going to go ahead and do the motion. If someone will move this motion after I read it, pursuant to Governor Lee's Executive Order number 16 regarding electronic meetings as extended by the Executive Orders 34 and 51, I make a motion that this committee meeting agenda constitutes essential business of the Metro Council and that meeting electronically is necessary so we protect the health, safety, and welfare of the Tennesseans in light of the COVID-19 outbreak. We have a motion.
So moved.
Second? Properly seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Right. I don't believe there will be anybody opposed. Fantastic. We have a handful of things on the agenda today. We will start with bills on public hearing. BL 201911 as amended. Approves Amendment 3 to the ground lease for Rose Park between Metro Parks and Recreation and Belmont University, and approves a new ground lease between the Metro Board of Public Education and Belmont University for the construction and operation of an indoor batting and locker training facility. Do I have a motion? Properly seconded. Is Councilmember Allen present to give us an update on this? If you'd like to, it seems like we've got two substitutes in the amendment to also move forward. If you'd like us to do that first and then discuss it together, I'm more than happy to do that.
Yes, Madam Chair, I think that would be.
Okay. The proposed substitute was in the packet as well as the amendment. We'll take them independently. Do I have a motion to approve the proposed substitute?
So moved.
Properly second, and all those in favor of the proposed substitute say aye.
Aye.
Anyone against? Anyone abstaining? Okay, we're also going to move forward to the proposed amendment. The amendment was also in the packet. Do I have a motion to approve the proposed amendment?
So moved.
Second.
Properly second. Those in favor of adding the amendment, please vote in favor.
Aye.
Those against?
Aye. Aye.
Anyone abstaining? Okay. With the proposed substitute and amendment attached to BL 201911, I asked for the sponsor to give us an update on the status of this project.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. I'm triangulating back and forth between the Planning Committee, which is just considering another bill. So if you can repeat what you just said, I was out of the room.
Yes, ma'am. We have moved and accepted the proposed substitute and amendment, and I'm just wanting to get an update from you regarding this project as it relates to Metro Parks.
Great, thank you. I appreciate that. There also is a late filed amendment that would just add some clarifying language relative to parks. So if I could get to that when we finish this part of the explanation, I would like to do that as well. Just for a quick overview, the grand scheme is that Belmont has had a ground lease agreement with Metro Parks for ball fields.
Oh, could you hang on just a second? Councilmember Stiles, could you please mute?
Are we better now? Thank you. So in 2007, there was a bill passed that approved a ground lease between Metro Parks and Belmont University to build a ball and soccer facility at the Rose Park property, and that took place, finally was built in 2010 and has been in place since then. It was a somewhat contentious process, and we are hoping that we can improve that process with some of the lessons that we've learned as we've gone through these 9 months of community discussion. What this bill does, as substituted, is removes a proposed batting facility from park property. That's the park lease agreement, amendment number 3, and it places it on Metro Schools property adjacent to the park, and that is the school lease agreement, which is part of this as attachment A. And that batting facility would then be available for shared use with both school and community uses. And so at no expense, Metro Schools is getting a state-of-the-art ball facility being built on their property for the use of shared use, but the schools lease specifically gives priority to Metro, to the community groups, and to Metro school students. So this will remove that from the park property where there's currently a lease agreement that says Belmont can build a batting facility on park property. And then the third part of this bill is to create a community oversight committee that can oversee the conditions that have been a condition of approval, just to ensure that that nothing falls through the cracks. We've discovered through this process that there were a number of benefits to the community that were put in place as part of the original park lease agreement. The payments that were promised have been made, $50,000 escalated every year have been made to the parks. That's been divvied up between the 2 adjacent schools and the Easley Community Center. And there are annual reports that have been created and given to the council members, but the community has not necessarily seen them. Often they have ended in the council members' email box and filed. So through this process, we've gotten that put on the website so that there's better accountability and transparency for the neighbors, which I think is an improvement. Also, we have looked at better signage. There was a promise that parking would not be denied to park users, and better signage has been put up as a result of this process. And also better signage just to explain that this is still a park for the community and that community members are welcome to use it, and the number to call if they want to reserve a field, just to be sure that they can get there. And I believe that there are a number of other smaller issues that the community oversight group that we are creating will be able to deal with in the future. So my hope is that although this has begun as a very imperfect process, we've learned a lot, and the community has worked hard to get the attention both of Belmont and Metro, that when we do a lease agreement like this, the community needs to come first, and it needs to begin with the community engagement process, which is why I have another bill that I was trying to finish up in planning that will require community engagement before any kind of long-term lease like this comes before the council in the future. So what this bill does is simply takes the batting facility off of the park lease and puts it on a school lease and creates a community oversight committee.
Thank you for that comprehensive overview. I know that you've given it more than once. It gets more consistent and more concise every time, so I congratulate you on that. There is an opportunity now for discussion by this committee. Does anybody have any questions for the sponsor or any clarification that needs to happen?
I have a question. This is Gloria Hauser.
Yes, Ms. Hauser. Go ahead.
My question has to do, because I know the original language said that a certain amount of time would be available to the community and a certain amount of time would be available to the university. My question is, how will that be tracked and how will that be enforced?
Great question. If you go to the website, which I provided in the letter that I sent to y'all, you can go to the Metro Parks website under athletic facilities and see the annual reports that have been published for each year. And there's a page there that in the early years simply said this percentage of the time was used by Belmont for each type of field, and this percentage was used by the community. So there's a record in Metro Parks of how many groups signed up and how many hours, and they just give the aggregate. As the reports get more sophisticated, and particularly in this year where the neighbors have asked some very detailed questions, there is more and more information available about exactly what type of groups we're using it for what number of hours. So as Metro Parks makes the reservations, they are being more deliberate about distinguishing between different types of groups so that there's a record which is now published and is available on the Metro Parks website. And the late filed amendment is one that specifically would codify what is already happening, which is the lease agreement specifically states now that Metro Parks is in charge of, solely responsible for the scheduling. And they have an arrangement worked out with Belmont where they get their collegiate schedules 6 months ahead of time and put in, when scheduled games are happening. There's not much flexibility there. But other than that, within the scheduling, the two adjacent schools and Metro Parks activities get priority over Belmont. And if adjustments need to be made, they are made. And I have an amendment that would specifically say within Metro Parks activities, which could include a ball organization from across town, but that what has already been happening is that the Edge Hill community groups are already prioritized. If they ask to use it and it's available, their name goes on there. Just to codify that into the specific language of how that hierarchy of prioritization goes. And so when we get to that, I'd love to move that late filed amendment as well.
Thank you. Councilmember Hauser, did that address your question?
Yes, it did, because I think that's one of the major concerns that we heard from the community members is that they would lose access. And so thank you.
Okay, fantastic. With that, I would like to go ahead and add the third action of the letter, the late filed amendment. And if everyone's had a chance to understand that, I believe Councilmember Allen has adaptly explained that. May I have a motion to add the additional late filed amendment?
So moved. Second.
Further discussion about that?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I just wanted to make a statement regarding the bill overall. Would it be okay to make that now, or would you like me to make it in a moment?
Let's go ahead and get this amendment on, and then we'll wrap it all up in a box.
Okay.
Cool. Are there any other discussion about the late filed amendment that was described by? Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Angie Henderson is opposed to the late filed amendment.
No. No, ma'am.
Oh,
I said
okay,
aye and voted in favor of
I
it.
said opposed and you said aye. I bet my confusion.
There was a lag there. I had already said aye.
It's a storm delay. All right. So there are no opposed. Any abstentions on the late filed amendment? All right. That is approved. And now we are on the bill as substituted, as amended, and as doubly amended. I move if we can have a motion for approval, and then we can discuss it.
So moved.
All right. Ms. Stiles, you have the floor regarding your discussion of the entire package.
Thank you very much, Chair. I just wanted to commend the sponsor for the amount of work that has gone into creating a bridge between community and the university. And I think that you have found a very good sweet spot at this time, and I am in full support of this bill and moving forward.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion in regard to this? I will make note that the LGBTQ caucus did meet Friday in regard to changes in the language concerning non-discriminations, made it more comprehensive and matching both Metro schools and Metro Parks language. Belmont was quick to do that, and they can be commended for making a quick action in regard to that. In fact, it was their attorney that made the mistake, actually. It was Doug Sloan. We can jump on Doug, who made the mistake. So we know his intent. And so with that, I wanted to get that update on the record. With no other comments, for a motion to approve the-
Madam Chair,
Oh, yes.
I'm sorry, it's Woman Gamble. I would like to make a short comment.
Please.
I just also want to reiterate that I commend the sponsor, Councilmember Allen, for her hard work on this bill and her efforts in working with the community, getting community engagement, working with MNPS and parks to find, and the community find the best location for this facility and making it a community benefit for everyone. So I also just want to go on the record commending Councilmember Allen for that as well. Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me the opportunity for you to say that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All opposed.
No.
Mr. Bradford is opposed.
Correct.
Any abstentions? All right, BL 201911 as amended, as substituted, 7 in favor, 1 against, 0 abstentions. We will move forward to Resolution 2020-504, Toombs, Van Rees, and others, accepts a Coronavirus Aid Relief and Economic Security Act grant from the National Endowment for the Arts to the Metro Nashville Arts Commission to help artists, programs, and their employees endure the economic hardships caused by forced closure due to COVID-19. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Right, properly seconded. We have someone from Metro Arts. Ms. Vincent is available. Would you like to describe this particular grant and how it's going to be, sorry, big thunder here, how it's going to be used here in Metro?
Yes, thank you. Hi, it's Caroline Vincent, Metro Arts. So this is a non-matching, basically operational support grant going into Metro Arts, and we were able to hire a program coordinator and evaluation coordinator for our grants programs, our funding programs like Thrive, and also some of our equity programs. So we're very excited to be able to add some support to that team through this fund.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. And once again, this is coming from the NEA and not the coronavirus fund that we'll talk about later. Excuse me. Is there any other discussion regarding this particular grant? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Okay, we got 8 in favor, 0 against. Sorry, I got out of order here. We're going to go back to bills on second reading. Excuse me. 2020-408, Syracuse, Hager, and others accepts a greenway conservation easement on property located at 2841 Lebanon Pike, owned by AT3 Markham East. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, seconded. Any discussion? Would Mr. Syracuse like to say anything about this? Or?
This is a, thank you, Madam Chair. This is a mixed-use development that's happening not too far away from Donaldson Station. And so what this does is hopefully allow a future extension of a greenway that would be a trail along the rail. And this would be the first section of it. So I appreciate your support.
Fantastic. Any other questions or discussion? I see Ms. Henderson's hand up. Council Member Henderson, please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't know if Councilman Syracuse can speak to it, or perhaps if staff, particular to greenways. I've become increasingly concerned when I see some of these development partnerships that we have, which we are grateful for and welcome. We are, colleagues, making our greenways too narrow, in my view. And so I've seen in several developments where, we lauded our partner and thank you so much and providing this easement and so forth. And then you go back in there and, it's crammed between a transformer down from a driveway, winding around the back past the dumpster. And so I just want to make sure that we as a committee make parks aware and that we're more conscious of making sure our greenways are wide enough, because if we truly want them to be transportation, enough room for people to walk and bike, we've already seen that, in our Shelby Greenway and others, they're just too narrow. They don't have enough capacity. So Councilman Syracuse, I don't know if you can speak specifically to the width of this easement, and then maybe if staff can speak more particularly to, are you being proactive about planning for wider greenways? Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thanks for the question, Councilmember Henderson. I will probably defer this over to Cindy Harrison with Parks, who I believe is with us, but what I can tell you that any greenway near a rail line especially has to be even wider. Cindy, if you're online, perhaps you can elaborate there.
Sure. Well, right now, our greenway standards call for a minimum of 12 feet. And some of the older greenways are narrower than that. At some point along the way, we increased from 10 feet to 12 feet. And we're working on standards now for the urban trails and looking at whether those need to not only be wider, what that proper width should be, but also the treatment alongside the greenways. As developments come in, trail-oriented development will have expanded regulations or standards that would add green space and accommodate amenities such as lighting and seating and things that you would see in a more urban environment. We do try to balance the width of a trail, especially out in a more rural situation, with a natural scenery and the environment that we're in. We don't want to look like we have a highway going through a wooded Shelby Bottoms kind of scenario, but we do recognize, especially now, the huge increase in usage over the last few months, that we do have to address the multi-use factors there, but it's a balancing act for us.
That's extremely helpful, and I really appreciate Councilmember Henderson's point of view on this. As you know, there's quite a bit of trail-oriented development planned in my district as well, and a lot of that we're seeing come through specific plans and planning as well. And so making sure that those specific guidelines are captured at the beginning, I think would be prudent for all of us whenever we have someone to do that. So thank you for that. Are there any other questions regarding 2020-408? All right, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any against? Any abstentions? Okay. Again, that's 8 in favor, 0 against. Moving on to 2020-409, accepts a greenway conservation easement on certain property located at 0 North Graycroft Avenue. That sounds like it is at the end of the road. Owned by Testamentary Trust of Emmanuel Chatton. May I have a motion to approve?
Second.
All right. Mr. Young, any comments regarding this?
No, ma'am.
All right. All those in, I think I could walk to there from my house. All those in favor, say aye.
You could.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Passed 8 in favor, 0 against. Now moving to a late filed resolution from Johnson Gamble. That's funny. proposes recommendations by COVID-19 Financial Oversight Committee for distribution of $2 million in CARES Act funds from COVID-19 Pandemic Fund 30099 to provide financial support to live music venues to be administered by Pathway Lending. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? All right. I'm going to go ahead and start the discussion on this myself, just for clarification. I listened to some of the conversation, and it was a little bit confusing on the floor. I believe Councilmember Gamble can offer some additional clarification. I think that the Metro Legal did their best to clarify definitions regarding performing institutions, performing rights, performing organizations. It was just a little confusing. So if I can get some clarification from the sponsor, as I understand it, that the funds will be going to for-profit musical venues, and this is not necessarily, or is not at all for any nonprofit. Am I understanding that correct, Ms. Gamble?
Yes, this particular resolution is addressing the live music venues, which the committee felt was an integral part of Music City. It is a $2 million allocation that we're recommending to support the keeping the venue open, pretty much supporting lost revenue that these venues have endured over the past 6 months because of shutdown orders or public health orders for our safety. And a lot of them are on the brink of closing at this point because of lack of revenue and lack of being able to operate at a capacity that is needed for them to survive. So this particular resolution is just addressing keeping those venues. It'll go towards operating expenses such as rent for the building space, utilities, that type of thing. They aren't able to use the funding for payroll. We felt that there were other COVID-19 things available, such as unemployment that the actual employees would be able to use. This does not address nonprofit venues. We had discussed other state funding that is available. Representative Harold Love is on the committee, and he shared with us that there's $150 million in state funding that is available for nonprofit arts, performance hall venues, and the next resolution, well, you don't have the other resolution in front of you, but we'll also be presenting tonight a resolution for small business relief, and that'll address some of the other small business concerns and issues. But this particular resolution is specifically for live music venues that, not just restaurants that have live music, but venues that operate solely to provide live music as 50%, at least 50% of the time in the facility.
Thank you. One of the reasons that I asked for this to be sent over to our committee, and I'm not even sure if it's going to tourism or not, but the definition of performance venue was a little muddy for me, because I mean the symphony hall is a performance venue that has music more than 50% of the time, right? But there's no qualification, and maybe Metro Legal can clarify if the intent is properly defined in this resolution. I just want to make sure that it's clear.
If someone from legal can speak to that, I can say that there was a lot of discussion about that, and there was further clarification during our last meeting. We had a special conference call meeting on Monday, and we kind of nailed down that term and not use performance for that reason, just because, as you described, the confusion around performance hall, and we changed the language to live music venue. But if someone from legal is on the call and can speak to that as well, that'd be great.
That would be helpful, because live music venue is still muddy for me. Is there someone on legal that can address the definition?
Councilmember Alex Dickerson is on the call, and it looks like he is unmuted, but I'm not sure if we're hearing him.
Not. Mr. Jameson, I see that you're on the call. Do you want to chime in on this?
Councilor Van Rees, if you will indulge me, I will follow up with Metro Legal between now and the council floor appearance of this legislation to find out what their clarification of the definition was during the committee meetings. I was not present. Sorry about that.
Okay, thank you. I just think that that's the reason I wanted it to come to this committee, is the understanding, because there are nonprofit musical venues that may want to apply for this if it is applicable. If it is not applicable, then we need to make sure that they know and that we address their needs separately. But even if it's a matter of an amendment on the floor that indicates that the...
This is Alex Dickerson. Can you all hear me?
Yes, there you are. Thank you.
Sorry about that, everybody. Yeah, so we, to answer the question, it is, originally the term was performance, but we changed all of the language that said performing arts to live music venues intentionally to clarify that. Now, we also put a limitation as to the amount of money for gross earnings that each of them would have. So there's a size limitation as to that as well. But live music venues was intentionally chosen because of the ambiguity between bigger groups that might not do live music and might do other parts.
So the Scrimmore Symphony Center is a live music venue, but their general operating cost would prohibit them from applying. Am I?
Yes, I think. Yeah, this is intended for the smaller, and we had a cap on, I believe it's maybe $5 million per venue. So that cap is intended to limit the Shermer horns from being eligible for this.
Okay, that helps us know as the Arts Committee that we still have arts organizations that are going to need help. So,
and we'll be addressing that as a committee. That is something that we understand is important and is a concern, and it's something that we will address in a separate resolution.
Fantastic. I'd like to go ahead and vote on this late filed resolution, but then I have information from Metro Arts that we want to make sure that we briefly review and that we give to Councilmember Gamble in order to help make those decisions coming up. So all that said, do I have a motion to approve this late file resolution? I believe we did.
So moved. Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone against? Anyone? Okay. Okay, with that,
Chairwoman, this is Councilwoman Henderson. I'm going to abstain on that, please.
Okay. 7 in favor, 0 against, 1 abstention. Okay, with that, you guys, very late in the afternoon, and I know how our inboxes get crazy this time of day, there was an Arts Cares funding comparison document that was prepared by Metro Arts at my request, and whether you have that or not on hand, make sure and look at it. And I'd like to go ahead and give the floor back to Caroline Vincent to describe that document and what we as a committee need to be looking for in the future.
Sure, thank you. So basically we've been tracking sort of how other cities and municipal CARES Act funds have been distributed within the arts and culture. So this just sort of tracks, by population and then total allocation for the city and then what's been allocated for the arts. And as you'll see, most cities are allocating some amount for arts and culture nonprofits and then some amount for artists or creative workers, depending on how they refer to that. And then Austin has done some additional funding of music.
Madam Chair, I apologize, just as a point of order. Ms. Vincent, is this email from you? Like you're speaking to a document that I can't see, so I want to open it up in my inbox. So
it came from Roseanne.
So it came from Roseanne with what subject line, Madam Chair? Okay, I'll just search by Roseanne and hope I can find it.
I can send it to you really fast.
It came between 4:30 and 5 o'clock today. I wish I could share screen, but I don't have that capability.
Yeah. Colleagues, it's called Link to Today's Committee Resolution Review from Roseanne Hayes at 4:33.
Okay, so yeah, so basically it's just a quick summary of what other cities have funded in the art space. As I was saying, Austin has done a little bit extra around music and creative spaces and creative workers. And then, and Sacramento is actually funding $20 million toward arts and culture nonprofits, artists, and arts and cultural tourism. So I just added some extra data there around our arts institutions and sort of what they're facing as far as, lost attendance. I think they're in the same exact position many businesses are and many music venues. Without revenue, they can't operate, they can't open. Many of our performing arts organizations have been closed from the very beginning and are still not able to operate and have people, together for performances. So that's the gist of it. It's pretty simple, but I'm happy to provide additional information or drill down deeper with any of this information as needed.
Thank you. Councilmember Gamble, I just wanted to make sure that you had this, and if you wanted to call upon Metro Arts to talk to your committee at that next meeting.
I do not have a copy of it, and I was going to ask if Ms. Vincent, if you could send it to Mary Jo Wiggins with the finance office so that she can share it with our committee. So that we could be sure to have this information, and we would love to have you come and talk. We have had no one from the symphony, but some of the other arts nonprofits come and speak to us, and we would love you to come as well. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
That's fantastic. That's something that I really want our committee to be proactive in regard to making sure that we're representing the creative class as part of the work that we do here, and based on some of what of our peer cities have done with similar funds available, similar population, I would be looking for at least $1 million coming to our arts organizations through a grant process. So that's where I am on it. I want to say hi. I'm grateful to be your new chair. Councilmember Stiles has agreed to vice chair for us this year. I believe I sent everybody an email. What we're going to be doing a little bit differently is having at least one hour meeting every month beginning in October. That'll be the second Monday, not the first, the second Monday in October. For October, November, December, January, February, March, we'll have 6 meetings. Parks, libraries, and arts will rotate so that they will each have 2 opportunities to speak to us about what they have going on, what they wish they could be doing, be our opportunity to hold them accountable for their diversity and inclusion goals, and to be able to know that at the end of the 6 months, we've had a deep dive in some of the institutions that really make this a city that we all love to live in. So you'll be hearing more about those opportunities to participate and what the schedule will be and the agendas as time goes on. Those will again begin the second Monday in October. And with that, we have concluded our business for today. I don't see Mr. Hager, but I wanted to personally thank him for his oversight the last year in an extremely difficult year. Some of the grants and resolutions that seem like nothing that goes through this committee mean the world to a lot of people. And so I want to thank him for his leadership in making that all happen, and to Ms. Hancock for her vice chair service last year as well. And with that, this motley crew is adjourned. Thank you very much.